It's a winter walk today. Something quite nice about coming out just before spring, like before everything starts waking up again. Listening to the birds and everything's kind of that bit more still, that bit more quiet. There's frost on the ground. Oh, lovely. Now, there is another brewer which in my mind is kind of related to the AeroPress Go because it uses the same filters and it also has a taste profile which isn't quite pour over but is close to. The Hoop brewer is something I only found out about a couple of months ago. Its USP, it's what it's aiming for is to take the effort and the unknowns out of pour over brewing. It is its own thing. It's a bit of a strange brewer, to be honest, but it is a light plastic brewer using AeroPress filters, so it made sense to kind of compare them directly. So I'm going to keep walking. I'm going to find another spot to stop and make a coffee, and we're going to brew up a Hoop. There's some things I like about it. There are some things I don't like about it. Let's see how it compares to the might of the AeroPress. Well, we found somewhere to stop. We've got our water on the go. I'm about to grind. I thought I'd show you the Hoop brewer, talk you through it before we make something. So, it's got three parts. One is this handy little dish that your brewer can sit on when you're done. That's quite useful in terms of clearing up mess and such. The main part of it is almost like a flat bottom cone brewer, and then it's got this hole through the middle. The center of this comes out. It's got holes all the way around the sides here, and what you do is you put a filter in the bottom, put this on, and then you put your grounds in the middle. So you've got filter, grounds, and then this area around the outside, and it's around here you put your hot water, and that goes through the little holes, introducing water kind of within the bed, which should make for an even infusion. That's the logic. And then it drips out the bottom. Some things I've observed about the Hoop brewer: it is incredibly slow running. Let's get these out the way. You saw me using this cup earlier. It's a bit, over the top, but I like it. The Hoop brewer doesn't work on it because it doesn't sit flat. So to sit on a cup, it needs to be able to fit inside this thing. So the handle on this, it doesn't work. So you are limited by what cups you can use. It's also not great with a folding cup. So this part here that goes into your cup is really deep. So even though you can fit it onto the folder cup, it reaches about halfway down. There's no room for your coffee to go. So you have to use quite a big cup with a handle that's not near the top. Lucky I've got the AeroPress cup with me. I think it's an oversight that you are limited by what cups you can use with this thing. But never mind, let's give it a fair shot. Well, that really is great smelling coffee. I've got a Gesher from Curve Roastery in Margate. They do really great stuff, and this Gesher is one of the best coffees I've had in a long time. Okay, let's assemble the brewer. So we've got our filter, just a standard AeroPress filter. Sits in the bottom, and then you screw this on, kind of locks it in place. There you go. We'll rinse that through, dump it out. I've experimented with this a few times. There isn't much point in preheating the brewer because it's plastic, and also, we're outdoors, so water is limited. I'm going to put this in place, and we're going to add our coffee grounds to the middle here. this prepped bed I can put here, and I know it's not going to get messed up. Now for these tests, I do like to weigh my water. I like to do that anyway, but I figure if I'm giving a review, you know, I should give these things the best chance I can. So we're going to weigh our water. I can hear that water boiling. And we're just going to pour in up to 200. And then we just let it do its work. Because this takes such a long time, I don't want it to get cold, I'm going to put this on like a lid. So dual function. Using the hoop brewer outdoors means it's hard to show you what's going on inside, but I did make a video with this when I brewed some coffee at home. I'm going to edit in some shots of that just so you can see what it looks like when the water's dripping through. Gives you a better idea of how it works. Okay, finally ready. Again, really nice thing about this is I can put my hoop brewer on there, don't need to worry about mess, and we have our coffee. I've got to say, this smells great. The aromatics have really been retained through the hoop brewer. Let's see what it tastes like. So it is fruity and lively, but under extracted, that's really frustrating. The thing that's most frustrating is the hoop feels like it should be something to not necessarily rival, but to have a conversation with the AeroPress, to bring us something new and a bit different. Something, you know, it's exciting to experiment with different brewers. This, to me, is pour over, but worse. One of the nice things about pour over is that you can dial things in. This takes all of that away. As I say, trying different grind sizes and stuff, affecting the things that I can affect, doesn't lead to changes in the cup that are repeatable. It really is just a complete chance whether it makes a good cup or not. Today, it's been under extracted, which is disappointing, especially, you know, if you're sitting in a lovely location, you've been waiting for that water to boil, you want a decent cup. Now, ooh, there you go. I was just about to talk about cleanup and it fell out. So when it comes to getting rid of your bed, you just unscrew this and it should drop out the bottom, but it leaves loads of mess caked in there. If you've got an AeroPress, you'll know one of the fun things about it is knocking that puck out at the end cleanly. An unsung advantage of the AeroPress is that cleanup is so easy. It improves the experience of the whole thing. This is quite a mucky brewer, and the thought of, oh, I've now got to clean that up before I can move on, actually, you know, impacts the experience of the coffee as well. Before doing this brewer out in the wild, I wasn't going to be as harsh to it, because at home I can get I've had some good coffees with it, but it hasn't been consistent. And the fact that it hasn't managed to do a good coffee today in a natural setting, which is the place that's where we're reviewing these things. Yeah, it's really struggled, and that's a shame, because I wanted something that would speak to the AeroPress. So let's talk about scores. Overall experience, because of that cleanup, is pretty low, but it's not bad. I do really like this thing. It's a lid and it's a kind of a coaster. So while you're making and drinking, it's not too mucky. It's just when you actually come to the cleanup. So we'll give it some points there. Let's give it 2.5, which is, you know, being generous, but I'm a generous guy. Taste is just too inconsistent. It can make a good brew, but doesn't consistently make a good brew. So that's really difficult to score. I'm gonna give it 2.5 again, because I guess fresh coffee under extracted is still better than instant in my book. And weight and packability, it does pretty well. It's light, it is quite bulky, but it's not egregious. So let's give that a 3. So 2.5, 2.5, 3. That is the Hoop Brewer. Despite this coffee that wasn't so great, I ended up tipping half of it away. It has been lovely to sit out in these woods. There are these little green shoots popping up from between the dead leaves that will be, no doubt, carpeting this place in purple flowers in just a few weeks, maybe days time. It's nice to come into the woods just as things start to wake up, to see nature through the different seasons, and doing it with a cup of coffee, even if it's a bit of a naff cup of coffee, is still worth doing. All right, I'll see you.